One of the misnomers of business marketing is for the business to ask itself, who shops here now? Well, that's our target audience. And that's not true because they're already there. You don't need them. You've got them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really, really good at getting men who are 30 to 35 in your door or on your site or to make your purchase or to buy your thing, whatever it is, you don't need to target men who are 30 to 35. You might not, if you notice a drop off at the age of 36, that's much bigger than the drop off at 29, then you're missing something with 36 to 40. And it's getting them. Because if you've got market share of one demographic and it's big enough for you to notice them, like, you've got them. If you are that department store that's great with that group of people, whoever they are, and it can be any demographic, it can be socioeconomic, it can be ethnic, it can be gender, it can be age, it can be location based, it doesn't matter. If you know that audience well enough, then you know that audience well enough. Then you know them. So the marketing would be, what have you always said? Because that's attracted who you've always got. Don't ever over campaign, don't ever rebrand for something you've already got in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense. However, if you recognize we're really, really good at 30 to 50-year-old white men in coastal North Carolina, and that's 80% of the North Carolina coast is white guys who are 30 to 35. Man, we're doing huge. But then you remember there's only like maybe 2 million people here. 80% of them, now you're down to like 1.6. And that 1.6 is who you're currently reaching. There's a whole nother billion, multiple billions of people you're not reaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's figuring out how to get their attention. And so I think the right after we love our baby is every restaurant you've ever been to, if it's mom and pop, there's always a framed dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's always on the wall. That framed dollar bill represents, first, that someone validated their baby.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they will always remember the person who gave them that dollar. And that person becomes their avatar for everything. That's the person that is the persona they aim at. And it's a huge mistake after a while, because what you end up doing is what you've always done and complaining about why it doesn't get you anything new. So rebrands only need to come up if you're trying to increase your market share in places where you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you're trying to do, then yeah, you can absolutely rebrand. Rebranding is hard for all the reasons you said. We're going to lose the people no, you're not. We're working on a rebrand right now for a company that's trying to go global. They have about 70% of their market share in the United States. And they don't want to spend 10 times what they've spent to get 30%. So instead, they want to spend 10 times what they've spent in places where they don't exist, because the share is much larger there. That's just really good business strategy. That's super smart economics. And what that means is that we're going to have to talk different. We're going to have to change the message significantly, because their audiences in Europe, Asia, and South America and Africa are entirely different than the audiences they've always been good at reaching. So it's finding some anecdotal things that are good, but also working really hard to capitalize on what we're learning about new markets.
Mm-hmm.
And how we can change their brand into something that's more palatable for a new audience.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's always about what you can do and who can buy it and how do we get them to buy it. That's all we're trying to do, is get them to buy it or buy into it, whatever it is that you do. Mm-hmm. And everything else is kind of irrelevant.